So in example 9, they give us a relationship 2n plus 6p equals 12. And they want us to write it as a function of p. So, no, a function p of n. All right? So we want our function in terms of n. What that means is we need to get p by itself. So we're going to solve that equation. 2n plus 6p equals 12. We're going to solve for p. So subtract the 2n. This is one way to write it. Divide everything by 6. This is the way to write it. There's more than one way to write these usually. So p equals negative 1/3 n plus 2. That is one way you could write it. You could have left it as with a common denominator like negative n plus 2 over 3, or you could have written 2 minus n over 3. All of those would be the same thing, okay? So now we put the function notation in, though. That's important. So we're going to say f of n is equal to negative 1/3 n plus 2. And I don't really care which way you write it. This is in slope-intercept form. It's a linear equation. But these are fine too as well. So, okay. So it is a function. I mentioned it's a linear equation, so it's a linear function. And we've written it in terms of f of n. So a function in terms of n. Okay. Now, example 10. Does this equation right here represent a function with x as input and y as output? If so, I think it says if so, yeah, sorry about that. If so, express the relationship as a function y equals f of x. So in other words, they want you to get y by itself. Okay, so we can do that. We can solve for y. So you have y squared equals 1 minus x squared. I'll just write it that way. All right. Now the way to solve for y is you'd have to take the square root of both sides. So you would have y equals, you'd have to put plus or minus the square root of 1 minus x squared. That is true. That is how you would get y by itself. But the problem is, in terms of a function, there's a little problem here. Because no matter what you put in for x, well, except for one number, but you would get two outputs. So if you put in, 4, you would get, well, 4 is not a good example. If you put in 0, you'd get two outputs. You'd get a plus 1 and a minus 1. And the only exception is if you put in 1, then you're only going to get one output because you'd get 0, and there's no plus or minus 0. It's just 0. But, any other number between 0 and 1, you're going to get two outputs, one with plus and one with minus. And so this is not a function. This is not a function. I hope that makes sense. I think the numbers could have been written just a little bit better for us on this example. But this is actually the equation of a circle. And if you think about a circle, that's not going to be a function because it's got two outputs, right? For an input. So, okay. That is that.